Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of Mindset Monday, where I share quick tips to help strengthen your mental muscle and improve your outcomes each and every day. So this is a follow-up to my last share last week, where I talked about intentionally time traveling in your mind and the power that technique holds when it comes to making decisions. I want to transition that conversation this week and focus on time traveling in our mind, meaning we're not being present because our mind has wandered somewhere else. So think about a time where you have allowed your mind to wander into the future. We'll start there. Maybe you're thinking about an appointment that you have coming up. Maybe you're thinking about rent or a mortgage payment that's due in the future. Maybe you're thinking about your kids and their transition to the next phase of school. Maybe that's, for me, it's going to be middle school, or maybe for some of you that will be college, maybe graduation. Anything that you may come to mind where you start to ruminate and travel in your mind into the future like that, most often it may be something exciting that's coming up like a trip. But most often, those future thoughts leave us feeling a sense of worry. They leave us feeling anxious in our body in some way. They might lead to heightened levels of stress in our body about some future event or thing that's coming up. And none of those are great feelings or emotions that we want to hang on to. Additionally, when we're traveling into the future like this, we're robbing ourselves and whoever we're sharing space with of that present moment, the gift of presence. So I'll share with you how to pull yourself out of that loop in a moment. But before I do, let's look at the other side of the coin, which would be when our mind travels into the past, right? So again, if we're traveling into the past and remembering an amazing vacation or some experience or some moment in our life that was fantastic, that's all good and well. But when we find ourselves time traveling into the past and ruminating on things where we're thinking, why didn't I do that? I wish I would have. I should have done it this way. I should have made that decision. I wish this thing turned out differently. Oftentimes, time traveling to the past leaves us feeling depressed, resentful, angry, less than. It leaves us, again, not feeling an emotion that we likely want to hang on to or let stick, right? And as I mentioned, it's robbing us of being in the present moment with whomever it is we're sharing space with then and there. So if you find your mind time traveling to the future or back to the past, and you feel your body physiologically responding in some way to these emotions that are coming up, there is a technique you can use. It's pretty simple, but it takes practice for it to become natural. And it's just this. I've become aware that my mind is wandering into the future or the past. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to acknowledge that my mind is wandering, that I am time traveling in my brain. I'm going to acknowledge it. The second thing I'm going to do is make a choice. My choice is to either continue down that path of ruminating on something in the future or something from the past, or I can make a different choice, which would be to stop that thought, those thoughts, and bring myself back into the present moment. The way I do that often is through breath work, just focusing, shifting my attention back onto my breath to get me out of my head and into my body. That brings me back into the present moment. So again, really pretty simple technique. You catch yourself time traveling forward or back in time, you acknowledge that thought, and then make a choice. Am I going to keep going down that path? That's an option, but know you will feel some way. Or am I going to make a different choice? And that choice would be to stop that thought and then Utilize something like breath work, maybe a quick round of 4x4 breathing, something I've talked about in these sessions before, and pulling yourself back into the present moment. You can also lean into your senses and start to bring yourself into the present by noticing, becoming more aware of your surroundings. What do you see? What can you smell? What can you touch? What do you feel? And if anything, what are you tasting? That's another way to ground back into the body and get out of the mind. So use this technique. Again, it might feel weird in the beginning because it's new to you, but like anything new, the more we practice it, the more natural it becomes as a response, and the quicker we're able to pull ourselves back to the here and now. I hope you found this episode of Mindset Monday to be useful. If you have a friend who's always wandering in their mind and not showing up in the present moment for you, share this episode with them and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you back here next week, guys. Have an awesome day.